One other thing that should basically motivate young people to join is the fact that Nigeria belongs to us. The future of Nigeria, in fact, the present and the future of Nigeria basically belongs to us. So it is our own duty to now determine how we drive, like how we make that future to be for us. So we cannot really entirely just leave it to these other generations.
Yes.
We are 70% of Nigerian population are young people.
Yes.
It means that 30% are now older people. In the next 5-10 years, we won't be where we are. Me, in the next like 20 years, I won't be classifying myself again as a young person. So for every young person now, the society where you're going to live in presently and in the future is supposed to be your concern.
Preview.
And welcome to another episode of Youthacy on the Ready to Talk TV and podcast. As you know, on this show, we empower young people to be effective community organizers, democratic mobilizers, and productive change agents. My name is Ifunanya Nduka, and I am delighted to be your host. Today, we're going to be talking on youth and civic engagement, examining the role of young people in community development and activism. This is a very interesting and important conversation, and we're going to be doing justice to it. I have an interesting guest with me here in the studio this morning, and I will let him do the honors of introducing himself. Hi, Mr. Victor. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. So normally my name is Victor Tehemba. I am a civil society advocate, and so also trying to work around the space of encouraging young people to engage with the system, with the government.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Just basic questions, right? How did you get into this space?
Okay, so how I got in this space basically has been a matter of interest and passion for me. So. And usually we hear a lot of passion when people, especially young people, ask like, how do you get here? But for me, it's always been that way. You know, like as far back as I can remember, when Ganifa Amy was running for president in Nigeria. I was in my junior secondary school then, can't remember which class, maybe JS1 or JS2, can't exactly remember when. But you know, I already knew him. I knew the kind of work that he was doing, and so I was walking home with my friends, and I saw his car pass along this walking up Bakantoni way, Ikeja from this Maryland. In fact, at Kingsway bus stop, Maryland, exactly. And luckily, his car stopped. Traffic stopped their car, so I ran to him. Hey, you are going to be my president. But I was far away from even voting. In the next election cycle, I also was not qualified yet to vote, but then I also volunteered for somebody who I thought was the best candidate then, which was Chris Okotie, basically. And even though I couldn't vote, I volunteered for his campaign, pasting his posters all around the Ikeja, talking to some of my young people and all of those things. And so this is not like, so it's that at every point I just want to see where I can basically contribute to making a change. And also along down the line, 2006, I joined a political party called COA, where we walk around election. For me, again, that was also an opportunity to belong to a community that is focused on driving some kind of a better Nigeria. And, you know, I worked with Gbadebo Rose Vival in 2017 when he was running for local government. So we did all of that work around the Ikeja and all of those things. So, now when I moved to Abuja, I got the opportunity to also, in fact, as I was in Lagos, I didn't understand that there was like this kind of a civil society space where people are always working tirelessly without even being in political parties to make Nigeria better. And when I got here, I got the opportunity with Raising New Voices, which I still am in till today. So I just took it. So it has been like that kind of passion that at any point, let's contribute to a better Nigeria, whatever it is, whether I'm talking or I'm doing.
No, great. That's interesting. I don't think a lot of people have interesting stories like you that, you know, they've always been interested in governance from such a young age. In your secondary school, that's amazing. Actually. So for people who don't have your particular, are not necessarily motivated, right? There's just nothing that motivates them, but they're interested in some sort of way. What would you say can get them involved in the process?
So 2 ways. It will go in 2 ways. First way is that if it's entirely about civic engagement, right, trying to make the country better, so sometimes even if you are not exactly motivated, I mean, like you don't have interest in maybe in the governance or this democratic processes or system, right, there are other ways. I mean, even in your private career outside this, whether you are a banker, you are a tech person, you are a this and whatever, if you realize sometimes even as per the advancement of tech, you see some particular tech people trying to solve some certain social issues, right? But then when it comes to like governance, they are not really into that. But then we know we can provide this kind of solution in this area. So wherever you are, you can decide. So in whatever system you find yourself playing, you can contribute in making a better Nigeria. Secondly, if it's in terms of like you want to really get involved in the process, get involved in civic action, get involved in political processes and democratic, whatever it is that you want to call it, is that you just have to look for the avenues, the entry points, and explore and take advantage of them. And one of the easiest entry points is to volunteer. So sometimes you might not have, I know that also working in this space, right, there are people that maybe studied biochemistry, some studied mass communication, in fact, different whatever. They are usually not interested. But when they now hang around, they now volunteer, for instance. Oh, your colleague Choma, for instance. Yeah, she was also very interested, but once she got into the space by volunteering, they now got to understand a lot of things. Now you see that she's well motivated anywhere, things about civic engagement or political process, she actually just wants to be there. So yes, so if you use this volunteerism as an entry point, it works for you.
Okay, great. So volunteering is I think every guest that has come on this show has spoken about volunteering. You can really not take away volunteering from trying to do this kind of work. You just have to volunteer at some point if you're interested.
Definitely,
right?
Because it is also something that requires some level of knowledge, because again, within this space, it's such a very knowledge-based space that you can't just, so for instance, if you go to school, you study accountancy, right? You can come out and you can apply for a job as an accountant, and then you are given based on your understanding and practical experience of doing. But here it's so knowledge based that you can't be talking out of vacuum.
True.
So you need to have some basic knowledge. So sometimes volunteerism prepares you for that, builds your capacity in that. And then when you get there, you find out that the most satisfying part about civic engagement, or maybe working in this space trying to drive civic engagement, is that you're working for a better Nigeria. So now imagine that things get better based on your contribution, your engagement, right? I know a lot of us in 2021, 2022, when we were driving the process for this kind of electoral reforms, I mean, sometimes you go back and you feel good that you now have like a new act that focus on that. This is working to focus on that election, and then you can say, I played this part.
Yes.
You get, and so when the process gets better, you feel fulfilled, because at the end of the day, you are working like for a better Nigeria. Entirely. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe one other thing I should say is that one other thing that should basically motivate young people to join is the fact that Nigeria belongs to us. The future of Nigeria, in fact, the present and the future of Nigeria basically belongs to us. So it is our own duty to now determine how we drive, like how we make that future to be for us. So we cannot really entirely just leave it to these other generations.
Yes, exactly. So I was even just I'll write on that. So why is there so much emphasis on youth, right? What is it that youth-led community development projects, right, can do that we are so keen on youth? Like, why the emphasis on youth?
So the emphasis on youth is simply because the youth are the future. And I mean, maybe let me go back again to basic analogy again to say that in war, right, there are some rules of engagement that it is no go area that if it's been committed, then you consider as war crimes or war against humanity. So women, children must be protected. Whether you like it or not, these two categories of people are like the future. And so for young people, when you look at it, we are the future of Nigeria. We are 70% of Nigerian population are young people.
Yes.
It means that 30% are now older people. In the next 5-10 years, we won't be where we are. Me, in the next like 20 years, I won't be classifying myself again as a young person. So in the next 20 years, where I'm no longer a young person, I'll probably be a family man and a father with all of these things. the society where I will live in at that time is my concern. So for every young person now,
Yes.
the society where you're going to live in presently and in the future is supposed to be your concern. The same way that at your young age, you are so focused on your career, trying to build a better career so that when you grow old and you retire, you can relax, you're not stressing. It's the same situation that when you move into, like, you build this country or you build this society, right, to a state where you want that at the end of the day, when you are now in the older generation, you live more comfortably. And if you see again some people who did not, maybe in the generation between our own generation and this generation of the other people.
Yeah.
So maybe let me categorize 3 generations. There's the
Boomers.
pre-colonial
Okay.
generations who has the Southern Sokoto, Azikwe, now this number from Olowo, H.O. Davis,
yes.
Akintola, and the rest of them. Then you have the post-colonial, which we involved from like maybe 1966 basically up to like 1993. Yeah. So this way here you now have the people like Gowon, Mutala, Tiwa Danjuma, Ironsi, this Pokona Kaduna, this Nzego, and you know, like a whole lot of those other people around that. Then you now have the generation between that 1980, between 1970 and maybe late 90s. The generation between that 80s
and late 90s.
And late 90s, right? Maybe we say that they were the generation that did not really determine their future. And so today, for instance, whatever crisis we are facing, they are not paying for it, whether it is insecurity, whether it's banditry, whether it's the dwindling state of the Nigerian economy and all of those things. They didn't take care of that recent situation. And so now they have also given birth and having children in a situation whereby that the children also are now struggling. In their own times, they didn't struggle as we struggled because the other generations took care of things. Yeah, it did something. So that's the same way. Like, when we shouldn't be that when we don't give birth to children, we not be saying, when Nigeria used to be good. And when Nigeria used to be good, you were paying school fees for maybe this 100K. And then your father is telling you that when Nigeria used to be good, in his own time,
5 naira.
Or sometimes, like when you hear, now by the time we just got out from school, there was a car and a job waiting for us. You could go and get a loan and get a car.
Exactly.
Now you can't even get it. The student loan that is now available for student, right? It's a good step, but then
implementation again.
Yes, implementation also now becomes how is it being implemented. So it's important that youth, this community-led engagement is very important because we are building a future for ourselves and also for our children.
Okay, very, very important.
Even if we don't have yet.
Very, very, very important conversations. I'm absolutely loving this. So I want you to take us back, and also in recent times as well. What youth-led activisms, like what are some successful youth-led activisms that have brought about actually tangible democratic reforms or policy change? And this shouldn't just be around governance, right? We have things that have gone around in entertainment, in creativity. Like, there's just so much. Let us hear about it. Youth-led activism.
Well, so if you broaden the scope, right? But let me start from the main focus of our conversation around governance and all of that. Maybe if we also look at Nigeria, we can go back as early as the 1930s and then look at the Nigerian youth movement, who has the people like the H.O. Davis, working at Samuel Akinsanya. I think Imnadi Azikwe too was part of that movement, right? So this was a movement that we're pushing for more participation and representation of Nigerians in their own affairs, in the parliament and all of those things. And they're also pushing for the independence of Nigeria. So that Nigerian youth movement is so fundamental to the actualization of independence for Nigeria. So that is one successful case, yes, that you can look at. You can also look at the Not Too Young to Run movement that bettered the Not Too Young to Run Act that amended the constitution to reduce the age of people who running for office. So now you are 25, you have popularity in your community, you can run for election and you can win. And we have a lot of those cases. We have like a lot of young people, and so you can. And so every year from 2019, right, you've seen an increasing number of young people
represented in different offices
being elected. And not just only that, that also caused, not just for the political purpose, but it also caused a mind shift somehow in governance.
Absolutely.
governors or maybe their government is now looking also to include young people by appointments. So I mean, as this in 2019, right after the election, it was like a bountiful season for young people. When you go to Kwara, their speaker was also a young person around 30 something, below 35 actually. You go to Oyo State, their speaker also was a very young person, and then also you have like the Minister of Sports in youth in Oyo State was also a young person, Sheon Disenfokarade, also below 35. So young people just getting appointments and also being elected. In 2023, that figure increased to about 32%. Like young people being elected in this parliament increased to 32%. You get, and so in fact, it's so good that when you go to National Assembly, House of Reps, they have like youth in parliament caucus. Something that you don't used to have before.
Yes.
So when you look at that, the Not Too Young to Run Act, other things, you can look at the NSAS. NSAS also caused this major policy shift. I mean, some people would like to argue that it wasn't successful, but from the beginning, like the focus objective, the specific objective of say, let's end SARS, they actually achieved that. SARS was ended, even if they were later transformed to something else.
That's a very critical conversation. It's very delicate.
Yeah,
the end-SARS conversation is very delicate.
Yeah, but that succeeded. When you go across...
Well, a lot of people will not agree. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will not agree.
So this is why I say from a specific objective point of view, what started at the end SARS was let us put an end to SARS, and SARS was put an end to it. It was later in the conversation where other issues now started coming up about end and bad governance, about increased police welfare and all of those things.
Yes.
So all of those things now became something else. But the first specific objective of end SARS was ended, and that was successful. When you go across Africa,
can I agree?
when you go across Africa, you had the June 5 movement in Mali. That started a huge movement, a huge protest that made this president, this Ibrahim Bouka also, what kind of, is it this Boubacar? Can't remember his name, but I know that his short was IBK, that made him, that had to, for a point, made so much concession that they had to leave. That June 5 movement was something also very tangible. And then you have a whole lot of other ones. And then when you not say other sectors, let's look at entertainment, for instance. In Nigeria, for a very long time, we did not have like a creative industry, so to say. And then until when people like
Two-Face.
No, not even Two-Face, Hobet Ogungbe. I mean, this is far back in 1970s.
Okay.
And then you started hearing of people like even Okonkwo, known as Peter Edochie now, or I said now, even before. So until when they now started organizing into saying, let us have like a movie. So these were young people at their time. And this is also brings back to the point that say, young people, why you should be really motivated is that you want to create a future. Imagine that the Nigerian movie industry, even then, it was not yet known as Nollywood. Imagine yet at that time that everybody was just doing their scattered or whatever, they did not organize.
Yes.
When they organized, they were young people in setting up the Nollywood that we see today. Even though Nollywood has gone through several transformations, right?
Yes.
But their work that they laid down, built, till today, they feature Peter Edochie, they feature Joke Silva. If not for the ill health of
Olu Jacob.
Yes. You know, these people at that time that were young, they are still being featured in movies till today, reaping that
as
foundation,
legends.
that they led, which is very important. And then you come back at when it now became like a full-fledged Nollywood that was being controlled by a particular cartel from Alaba and the Upper Iweka. That was also another stage where you put it. But then Nollywood also went through another revolution, which today is now the cinema, this is Nollywood, which some people like to call the new Nollywood. So the new Nollywood now is every movie you make is a box office movie. Either it's being put on what kind of streaming platforms or whatever. And then now it is more decentralized as well.
Yes.
Entertainment is the same thing. Right? The entertainment industry that we have today, take out the movie, from whatever, whether it's comedy or movies, government did not have a hand
in setting it up.
It is individuals. I remember like in music, right?
Young people.
The conversation turned around. That is where you now find the likes of the Two-Face coming in, right? But then before the Two-Face were just like, I don't know how to put it. They were like some people that ran the background work. So you look at Dayo D1, Kenny Ogungbe, Ayo Animashaun. There's another guy, Shonaya. Then the guy that owns Sound City. These were guys that also, young people also in their time, laid the foundation. Kalikpe, let me not forget to mention Kalikpe. Sorry, I know this because I also have a background in entertainment. Yeah. These were guys that also laid the foundation for the entertainment industry that we have today. And that is why when anybody says nobody paved the way for me, it is a huge lie, because people actually paved the way for you. In crossing over to America, people like Two-Face started featuring artists from the US so as to break that hegemony, right? Kenneth Music started arranging for their artists to even feature foreign. So if today you're featuring foreign artists, they are listening to your song. Before your song crossed the border, Two-Face song of African Queen was already featured in Hollywood movies, African chicks, is that African chicks, white chicks or whatever they call that movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
But again, till today, whatever it is, Two-Face can't go broke. But now compare the generations from like 2000 downwards, where you had them working on Junior and Pretty, you had them Blackie, you had them Zaki Aze. Not that they're doing badly, but are they doing as well as they should currently? But because this other category were the category that we're able to organize and say, let us turn this industry around to the point where it is at this point now, where that you can even blow without even needing a decent record label. So it's always important that we get involved, because the future is ours.
Absolutely. That is really amazing. And when we're talking about future, I think the place where you find a lot of young people is in schools, right? In secondary schools and the university. So how can schools cultivate a culture of civic participation and democratic activism in its students?
So how can they? First off, I think the thing is both ways for both the government and also the schools.
Okay.
And I think on the side of the governments, they have done what you would call policy. This in policy, this in formulation, and it's also been implemented. So we have to look at the effectiveness, and in that is that the government had to look at the curriculum again and introduce for primary and secondary school civic education. For the university, they introduced a course called nationalism. So all of this is to teach the ethos or the benefits of participating in the entire process. But for schools, for these universities, right, it's a different case, because already you have the SUG elections. In fact, the SUG election is a replica of the Nigerian political process, just that on a smaller scale. So the violence that you see also happens
in
there.
schools. I agree.
But already in this university level, it already exposes students. And also, if you look like most student activists back in school, right, you find that most of them came out and ran for office. Someone occupied.
Sure.
Ironically, Dino was a working student activist. Sheikh Husani was. So you find them, there are a whole lot of them spread around, occupying some particular...
Some are even doing CSO work as well.
Yeah. The CSO is the get-to place, first of all, and before they now move into this political... We have to go there and do and change things and all of those things. Yeah. For secondary school and primary school, some schools have taken the initiative, which is very important. I think that other schools should also... kind of emulate, because it drives home the point even at that young age. In some schools, they now begin to organize elections, whether for class captain or for prefect of the school. That's it. So at that point, they're not understanding. I've seen videos online of some students reeling out their manifesto. So already they already exposed that in a political process. Oh, when you are going for campaign, 1, you have to campaign. 2, you need to have a manifesto, which is going to be your campaign this material. Right, then you have to stand in front of crowd and talk. You're already building their confidence in public speaking. You're already exposing them that they need. So when they grow on and if they keep up in that, conversation around manifesto will not be strange to them.
Yes, true.
So if I do say people that work on a first of all, we say, where is a manifesto? Let us read through it in the beginning. So I think that all schools can begin to emulate that, and that will actually go a very long way.
That is so interesting and so important, because I have engaged with some schools in recent age, and I'm hearing so many interesting terms like head of party for my school, the chief of school, chief of students, which is just really amazing. When I was in secondary school, we didn't have that. We just had head boy, head girl,
which is
labor
always
prefect,
handpicked by the school authorities.
The smartest people.
Yeah, the smartest people, exactly.
The smartest. Whenever there was an election, It wasn't really election.
It'd be like for class captain kind of.
Yes.
Now raise your hand if you want this
Exactly.
one.
So I think some schools actually being more intentional about it right now. So moving away from that, right? What are some challenges that you feel young people face when they're trying to get into civic activism, and how can these challenges be addressed? So I want you to speak to this both from a place of personal experience and general experience as well.
Okay, so if your question is that the challenges if young people want to engage in trying to promote civic engagement among the population,
Yes.
So from a personal perspective, the challenges first of all is one, the ignorance of a large number of the citizens. Two, the skepticism of also people. So and ignorance in the sense that sometimes when you go out to meet people to talk, right, and maybe you are trying to engage people to have a conversation around civic engagement, how can they do this and all of do that, it becomes very challenging when some people don't even know. You get, so you have to now spend a whole lot of time, and if they are the kind of impatient kind that don't have time, nobody wants to stay back and listen to you. And that ignorance also is very important, that there are some ignorance that are very loud in what do you call it, pride, or no, not pride, arrogance. So they don't know, but then they say arguing with you.
The worst.
So usually there's that kind of approach, those kind of people, what is very required is just patience. So you can't even also now be arrogant to say that I know it's better than you, I know it's all, and all of those things. So that, and then second one is skepticism, or the fact that because of the problem that is not your own fault, right? People will not believe, which is like maybe in the area of bad governance. So when you're telling people, please come out and vote, because if you don't vote, you'll not be able to choose your leader. Like all of those preaching that we do around those kind of areas, right? And why it's important for you to engage. People like, why do you have to engage? You are telling them to come and vote. They have already know the person that they will choose as their next leader or next governor or next president. So what am I going? Our vote, does it count? So those kind of questions, right?
Yes.
So they're skeptic that the process is not transparent enough to include their own voices or their own
which is actually opinion. Valid. I don't think our government gives a lot of room for trust,
No, of course. I mean, it's very. We have got to the point where if you trust government or any government institution, right, you are setting yourself up for the greatest disappointment. And I also remember that during from 2022 to 2023, after the this Working Act was passed, the Working 2022 Electoral Act was passed, we didn't just want to stop there. We now also had to, because part of our major campaign then was that, one, there has to be that transmission of results electronically, because we felt that once that is done, it will help to improve the transparency of results, where this work on the collation of results. So now you're not entirely doing it manually. So it's not done electronically. So in real time, and even ANEC also helped with that thinking by saying, okay, we are going to have an RF portal where in real time you can also monitor based on how they are being uploaded to the portal. And so we went to town for most of us, including myself, which they actually put us in trouble, because telling people, no, you have to vote this time around, your vote will count, because we have this particular feature now in the Electoral Act. It's mandated by government, it's going to be there once you vote, and it's being counted electronically.
Immediately.
It will be transferred to a central system, and so your votes will count. But at the end of the day, right?
A lot of issues.
This is going to come into play. Now, if you had that kind of process, that's what they did. It did not only, what that incident happened, did not only dampen the morals of the citizens. It's now also on our part as the civil society actors trying to promote civic engagement or promote the democratic process. Because now, in the next election cycle, there will definitely be another innovation. And INEC works strictly in partnership with the civil society so that we can promote all of these things. With what confidence, if you have another new innovation, should we not take back to the public and say, this is the new innovation from INEC to ensure that votes are this is transparent and this is credible? With what confidence we be telling people? Because then again, even you yourself be telling yourself, what if you no go out as planned as
True,
like the last one?
time.
So not like this didn't work, but it didn't just work as it should work.
It wasn't efficient.
It wasn't efficient. But at the general level, the challenge also is that 1, you need access, 2, you need resources, 3, bad governance again. You also have to look at that, because even you, sometimes your motivation is that, the country needs to get better. The country needs to get better. See, honestly, if the beavers of a thing worked optimally, efficiently, the way it's supposed to work, that would have boosted the confidence of everybody in the process. So everybody knows that my voice counts. But up to today, millions of people feel kind of alienated that their voice did not count. Or their voice did not count in that cycle, and then you can't exactly blame them because of the way it went. So these are like some of the challenges. But then, how do you now overcome these challenges? One is just basically patience on the personal level, individual level, right? Dealing with this thing, it's just like patience and confidence. Yeah. Then at the general level, well, it's just for you to always do your best, because on the general level, most of those factors are outside of your own control. The ones that are within your control is you as an individual, that you have to be patient. You have to also on your own be very knowledgeable, so that, because sometimes when you also engage in this process, there are some questions or there are some things you come across that at first it might catch you off guard. And so that's why I say naturally civic engagement is a very knowledge-based
sector.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of buzz around technology these days. I mean, we're in the technology age, we're in the technology era. Technology is impacting everything from housing to clothing to civic engagement to activism. Completely everything. So how has digital activism actually impacted the landscape of democracy building in our country, Nigeria, and also across Africa?
Well, you say in Nigeria and across Africa, basically across the world entirely, it has actually affected. So tech has come in. So tech has played such a crucial role that with the tools like working on social media, for instance, right? It's now very easy to carry out advocacies. Before this particular time, when you're going to do advocacy, most of the times it also include like all these peaceful marches or walks, or consistently going on TV, radio, newspaper, putting out ads or whatever it is that it is. But for now, with the advent of social media, which has actually kind of democratized the information ecosystem, right? It means that you can successfully mobilize for an advocacy action using social media. Using, apart from even the social media, other tech tools like even email, this messaging, newsletters, you can do all of these things.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's also within this period that we had something they call change.org, right? That allow people to raise petitions, and then you sign petitions and all of those kind of things. January 2012, when they were doing the Save Nigeria protest, right? One of the tools for mobilization was social media, and at that time, social media was still barely like 5 years mainstream, right?
Yes.
Like barely 5 years into Nigeria, you get. But then it was also an efficient tool. Look at NSAS protest. As much as it was happening on ground, it was very much happening online. In fact, the traction that NSAS campaign got was because of the activities that people were doing online that made it go viral globally, that everybody knew that protest of such magnitude was happening in Nigeria. So social media as a tech tool has helped in that regards, that you can mobilize people for an advocacy issue. I mean, people use social media now to even compel government to not take actions. So last time, was it earlier this year, some people took pictures of a school in Edo State, and they're like, oh, look at this kind of school in the state structure. Like this. Yeah, in less than a week, the governor got this notice of it, demolished the school and rebuilt it. You see people like, oh, these potholes are here and there. Before, in fact, tech has also improved accountability in the police system, because now every time, even police had to join and engage actively, because people were always calling them out on the internet, and so even the police now had to also now feel accountable to the people by giving feedback back to the people and taking feedback from the people. And so now there are some cases, there are these robbers in your area, where do you go? Social media, please help or retweet till you get to the correct authority, there are robbers here, and then quickly it gets to that people start tagging.
Yes,
so it works in that regard. So tech works a lot. AI is there, which is also helping around. And I know that budgets, for instance, budgets, code, and a whole lot of this other organization, including us, have been deploying AI in trying to make the civic engagement process quite easy. So budgets, we also try to break down budgets in investing, because usually when they bring up budget's about 2,000 pages. I don't understand whether you are doing master's PhD that want to sit down and read 2,000 pages.
No way.
But then they find a way to not simplify it in
For
a way.
us.
And once they simplify it, we begin to see. And then what happens? People now pick it up, pick issues. Why are you budgeting 21 billion naira for vice presidential this renovation? Why are you budgeting 40 billion naira to buy cars for National Assembly? Why are you doing it? You get.
Yeah, but if it was in that bulky document, we wouldn't have even seen.
We wouldn't have seen. So this is also this important thing. And also during the campaign for electoral reforms, right? That we did a lot of work with the late Desindare Ario, and God bless, and a whole lot of other people, right? One thing we did for an organization raising voices, we created a platform called Call Your Reps. And that Call Your Reps was that citizens, you can engage directly. So what we did was we kind of aggregated the contacts information of all lawmakers. So from that portal directly, from that platform, you could just engage, call, send text message or email. Oga, I am your constituent, so there is this bill, National Assembly, that electoral bill. Please make sure that when you guys are passing it, you include the electronic transmission of result, because they removed it before. But that tool that we created and put out, right?
Yes.
Piled a lot of pressure on the National Assembly to say that if Nigeria wants this thing, then we just have to include it. And that's how it basically actually came about to be included. If not before, they had removed it. And so that platform also, we've now basically moved it off to now say, okay, we now evolved that platform into a more bigger and robust platform to now say, because that one was specific built for that campaign. But then we saw the kind of magnitude of work that it can do. It's okay, so let us build on it better. And then now what it does is that it can now allow organizations, if you have a campaign issue. So this one is like people are not coming to sign petition. Like where they say, okay, we sign petition, so you get like 10,000, 20,000 signatures, and you think it will draw their attention. If you're not engaging those decision makers, right, it becomes but here, if you open that kind of campaign on a particular issue targeting the National Assembly, imagine them receiving, instead of 10,000 signatures, they are receiving 10,000 calls and text messages and emails. So this one, you are engaging with them directly. You are not signing and hoping that they will see. So we just moved that with that platform to this what we call GovEngage, which is government engagement, govengage.ng. So basically, organizations set up campaign there, and then you get people to participate. They engage directly to tell them that this is what we want, and then when they get thousands of calls, it shows them that this is a public interest issue, and so they cannot do otherwise.
That's just amazing. So has this brought about tangible change that we can speak to?
Yeah, so first off, like the one I talk about, the Act now, transmission of transmission of result, yes. So that was like a positive output from that platform.
Okay.
And so we used like the whole of last year to develop it to what it is currently at the moment. Yeah, so a few organizations are running campaigns on it. In terms of tangible actual results, because the campaigns are still in process, we don't. That is, you can't maybe say for this new platform.
Now, okay.
You can't exactly measure. But then there are also, in terms of outcomes, right? Yeah, there are very tangible outcomes from using that platform, because again, it also drives, and what tech has also done is that because it makes it easy to engage in, it has made it interesting. In the last election, it was social media, people used to disimmobilize. A whole lot of them. For the first time, people were more interested to now say, I want to go and vote, even if they don't understand the process, but I want to vote. It was the advocacy, the message that people use on social media. I mean, tech is just the way to go, in whatever way to go. And
Absolutely.
you see, it's also the reason why people are now looking like, oh, we should now start doing electronic voting, or we can do online voting, all of those things. I mean, those things look, right now, there are a whole lot of arguments against it, right? But with time, it will come.
It will come.
Yeah.
I agree. And even this Ready to Talk TV and podcast is part of
Yeah.
something that we're doing for digital
Thank you,
activism.
because a whole lot of things like why you might not want to now go to place and start meeting people will stay online and watch.
Yes, absolutely.
And once they get to learn from it, then they can also tell other people. I mean, it just makes it the tech still right.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes it so easy and seamless for both engagement and knowledge gaining as well.
Because again, even if also look, even government officials now too also have to engage.
Absolutely, yes,
so
that's another
people
thing.
even hold virtual town halls. So this virtual town hall could be on social media, or it could be using this video conferencing tools, right?
Yes.
Or even sometimes, and again, one other importance of the podcast like this, right, is that once even public officials start seeing the traction of how important, how it's impacting the life of young people,
Yes.
they will now be looking for avenue to come here. That tells you one thing, that even those in government, they're also looking for avenues to engage with the citizens.
That's true, absolutely.
And that's why sometimes most of them that are quite sensible take advantage of whatever avenues, whether it's social media, whether it's like a podcast like this or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely agree. So I'm certain that a lot of people are listening and they're so interested in this, but then they're not sure how they can actually create or implement successful strategies. How can they implement strategies that are both successful and impactful in their local communities to drive about social and political change?
Okay. In terms of strategies, I don't know much about strategy of how to implement activities to drive this in social change. But then what's the only thing to be done is that is just for you to be an active member of your community or your society. And then what that means is that even when people are not taking the initiative, you take the initiative. Now, the problem that you've identified, so if, for instance, you live in a community and you found a problem, that problem that you have identified, it is not just only you that is seeing the problem.
Yeah.
It is not only you that the problem is troubling. But what happens most of the times is that somebody is waiting for somebody to start.
True.
And you can be that person to start. And so, and in fact, that is just where, and so when you even do those kind of things, right, it builds what I call your social capital in the first place.
Yeah.
Within that community. So in case that, and that's how sometimes they identify leaders at the community level. Oh, is this person, okay, we have a poor waste management issue in this community, and then it is you who knows that something needs to be done, and then you take it upon yourself. You go to your local government office, or you go to the waste management board in your state, or you even go to the government, and then you begin some kind of advocacy to say that we need to clean up this area, and then we need waste bins here. It could be in terms of maybe this is maternity or healthcare, that in your community you don't even have any primary healthcare center. So I mean, like, for me, I feel like it's just you being an active citizen. Is any problem that you see, do not sit back. Don't be a passive citizen. You can be an active citizen. You can begin. And the thing again is, sometimes when you're even trying to do that, one other thing is that when you see that problem, first thing is also to also mobilize. Like I said earlier, that problem that you've seen, nobody only you don't see them. Nobody only you the thing they affect. So it's now you now meet people one by one and say, look at this issue. We need to do something about it. And that's when you realize, I don't know why people are always doing this thing. I don't know why this situation is like this.
Yes.
But what can we do? And then like, I think that we should just kind of organize ourselves and go to this place or write to this thing, or even it's possible.
So collaboration.
Can we start doing it by if I things that we can do by ourselves? Okay, we can join here, and do.
Yes.
And move on.
Yes. So
that's how it works. So strategies for me, if you want to count them as strategies, is that we see a problem, you are the final problem, then mobilize your other people around to basically move on. You can take the lead, you can whatever it is, but that's how you
do something. Don't just sit and wait and complain and speak action.
And that thing actually also motivates other people. Other people see that you're doing something. Even some people that first of all maybe do not even give a care about what you're doing, all of a sudden become very interested, because somehow if you're doing it, they feel, I don't know, there's just this sense that they should also be part of what's being done.
Going on.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. I've had such an amazing time with you. So I'm just going to ask the last question, and then you can give us your final words if you have any. So there's hardly any conversation around mentorship in this space, right? And intergenerational collaboration. So where does that come in youth civic participation and engagement, and is it important?
Let me answer for the last one. Is it important? Very, very, absolutely important. It is what, personally, on my own angle, I've also been kind of advocating for as well. And where is the place of this generational collaboration, right? Where?
Yes.
Everywhere.
Okay.
At every stage, at every facet of life, whatever it is, right? Even in governance, even in this civic space, right? It is so important that it happens, because why young people will come with new ideas, those new ideas cannot just come totally and replace the older
existing ones.
Yeah. And you know that they also come with experience, right?
Yes.
So you get your new ideas. You get ideas from the older generation, how things used to work, get their own experiences, reflect it into your own ideas, and then see how it can basically work. And the issue of lack of mentorship is what has been bedeviling even our governance space, right?
Yes.
Because again, look at it. I mean, like the older generation, I think that they really experienced what was called life per se, because when you look at Obafemi Awolowo, when you look at Sardauna or Sokoto, when you look at Nnamdi Azikiwe, right, they had mentees down the line. And along the line, you could also find these mentees in government.
Doing something.
Yeah. And usually, this mentorship is usually around, and then when you look at everybody that followed kind of Obafemi Awolowo's kind of ideology, you find them that they are always socialists. They are welfareists as well, if you want to call it, all down the line. When you look at people like Shehu Yaradua, he was also a mentor and had a whole lot of mentees, of which Atiku, Obasanjo, and a decent host of other people were his mentees. Aminu Kano had his own mentees
as well.
And even the Shehu Yaradua was part of his mentees. And you have then the is it Kashin Katsina, or I've just forgotten his name. So you get, but in today's situation, do we have mentees to that degree? So the problem is that what you find, although you have people within following this political or this what kind of politicians, right? But are they following as a staff or as a mentee? You get, and so usually even the crop of new politicians that are coming from that kind of level, right, are not the ones that are inspiring, that don't inspire hope. So when I look at maybe the current president, right, and I see a whole lot of young people around him, I look at the young people. Those are not young people that hold the kind of values that I think that I will want in the future, that any of this person should be my leader. And in fact, even the president himself, does he even inspire that kind of confidence? People that, okay, this will be my mentor, yes, but again, mentorship also could be that, let me learn politics the way you play politics.
Yes. And
not exactly that I want to bring in that kind of change that I want to. But I think that someone like Sheyi Makinde is doing a host, something like that. I think there are also some people within his
network.
Yeah, that he basically mentors along that line. So it's very important in whatever, even in the civil society space, it's important. It's important that we learn from people like it, and that's why I enjoyed them working with Dari Atoye, because you also learn from him. So it's important that we, the young people, and we learn from the activism, the experience of people like NOB, people like Otive Ebuzo, people like the Sheikh Usani are saying. I mean, then they,
yes,
Jaye Disingaski, Tunde Aremu, and a whole lot of other people, right? That's those categories, and some of them do it already. They provide that mentorship to say, this is how sometimes we go about these things. So police might threaten you, but this is how you hold it. If you want to engage these people, this is how you can engage in this particular way that you then get their attention and then get them to do. Yes, so it's very, very important at all levels.
Very important. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And that's why you see in other businesses, other sectors, they organize that kind of mentorship.
No, that's it. I mean, we even have an intergenerational mentorship platform here at Ready to Lead Africa, but it's for women. It's an initiative called She Can Serve. So we are women who are already top of their career, mentoring young people both in governance, public sector, private sector, and it's just amazing, and it's driven by technology, which is very important.
Can you imagine it? And you see, this point you make about this mentorship for women, right? It's very crucial.
Yeah.
For me, I always feel like one of the most effective. I always feel and I still believe that one of the most effective way in improving or increasing the participation of women in the political space or in governance, right? It is through mentorship. The reason is because before now we've had women who are there.
Yes.
It is important that they share their experience, their secrets, their strategies with other women on how now when I was there, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So you can replicate this thing in your own context, in your own area, and then let's say I go. To me, I feel like that is one of the most effective way in driving or increasing the participation of women. Yeah. So mentorship. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you. So kudos to Ready to Lead Africa.
Actually.
Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. I've had such a superb time with you. It's been such a great conversation. You're literally a ball of knowledge, like just dropping dates and names back to back.
Are you disinwining me?
No, I'm not whining you. I'm sure our viewers will agree. I'm not whining you at all.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the compliment there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know, do you have any final words to our viewers?
I've said enough, so I think that they should maybe the last one will be simply just get involved at what level in whatever way, and now getting involved most times might not even be you physically, but it's important that you are there physically, yeah. But then it could be that you are joining a campaign, you are lending your voice to a particular cause, or you are even supporting in terms of maybe resources or finances and all of those things. Even if you can't do it physically yourself, other people are doing it, and then you're supporting, and then you still achieve in the same aim. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here with us today on Youthacy. I'm sure you've gotten something. I'm sure you have taken something home. And I'm certain that whatever community you find yourself in, you are going to implement some change. You're taking action because you're a young person who is intentional about building his or her community. This is Youthacy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. This is your one-stop for everything youth and democracy. And from here today, it is bye-bye. See you next time.